everyone, Julian here today. I'm going to be showing you how to make Acid, Electro, Client 03, Acid Avengers, Nite, Hermeth, False Persona, that style. As usual, you can grab the full project files, samples, MIDI, presets, everything from this video is available at the top of the description on my website. Definitely go grab that. It's super affordable, but it allows you to get a really high quality template and take your tracks to the next level today. This will really help you if you've been stuck, or if you know what you're doing and you just need some new inspiration. It's great for everything in between. Thank you so much for the support, everybody. Every little bit helps, and let's dive in. Alright, so we're at 132 BPM, and the first thing we have to get out of the way, I guess, would be the drums. So it starts up here with the most basic ones, right? The kick and the snare. Just nice, 808 kick and 808 style snare as well. Both of these kind of have a bit more like oomph to them than, say, something straight out of an 808 drum machine. And that's usually what you want to look for. A lot of times, like if you hear this, if you hear that in a track and then you try to grab like the Ableton 808, it's not really the same thing, right? So that's where a lot of that can come in, is just knowing where to get the right 808 samples. Not every 808 kick and snare are made the same. Then we have an 808 clap. So you can hear that just hits on every other snare. It's got a bunch of delay on it. And I moved the left ear over a little bit with this. You can like delay it so you get this nice stereo image. It just doubles up that last hit. So then we have the percussion. So it starts with the 606 kit. Right, we're just using the hi-hats from that, creating this like pretty busy pattern if you hear it with the kick and snare. As you can see, a lot of the groove is happening through that. Then we have a synth percussion. And you can hear that just fits right on top of what the kick and the snare and the hi-hats are doing. It's all meant to work together. This is just a bit of white noise, short envelope, low pass filter with an envelope on that as well to make it punchy. And then we have an LFO moving the filter around. And that's where a lot of that kind of like morphing texture happens. We also have a bit of echo on that. Some drum bus, which really helps make it sound less like a synth. And then a high pass filter. And then we have these two, just some little background percussions. Yeah, if you listen to those with the snare, you can hear. It just adds that extra step. It's like you have these, which are constantly going. And then these two, which just kind of come in every now and then, and it's that contrast. And on that group, we just have a little bit of drum bass. You can see I'm blending it, so it's not completely wet, but it's just adding a bit of punch and grit to all of those drums. And then we have the 808. So with a lot of this stuff, you're trying to create this like massive low end wall, kind of like where you'll have like, so you have this big kick, which is just like a fat punchy 808 kick, and then on top of that, this nice distorted 808, as you can hear, and then even further we have and see how it's all working. But if you take out this 808, it's really missing like the grounding. So that's what this is. It's an 808 sample. I've used the fade in a little bit on it so you don't get so much punch at the start, so it won't clash with the kick. I've got this amp on it, distorting it a bit, and then it's being sidechained to the kick. Very simple. And then as far as the MIDI goes, it's this pretty simple bass line that everything else is following, where it's like G and then G sharp, and then another G, G sharp, and A sharp. Pretty simple, like. You really don't want to get too complicated with the MIDI here. It's more about the rhythm than it is the notes. Then we have this thing. So this is filling in all that powerful, like lower mid-range and mid-range in the bass. Again, to just really create that big, like mirage of bass almost, right? So this one is the same notes. It's just playing 16th notes, right? It's just following that bass line. And then we're using wavetable. It's a sub-oscillator, a square, which is an octave up, and then a saw. Those are going into a low-pass filter, which has a bunch of envelope on it. So So that's where the punch is coming from, as you can hear. But then I also have this LFO, so it's getting the envelope, making it like jump down quickly on each note, and then the LFO is just moving this around constantly. And that really helps, because these tracks are pretty loopy. You know, you don't want to just have that same exact loop over and over. So this can help, you know, build some tension. Then we have a ton of unison, right? Since this isn't like the main low end, we can make that super unison-y, and then it'll go nicely. It'll kind of create that like detune with the 808. And like I said, the mirage of bass. Then we have a bit of amp, just distorting it. Here's without it. And then with it, you're actually not hearing that much of it, but it's making a huge difference. It's on 34%, but it's so strong that you hear a lot of it. And then a high pass filter. And then we have the 303. Now, it might seem like a simple 303 pattern, but it's really got a tight groove with the kick and snare. And you can hear that just fits in like really, really well with the kick and snare. And that was the goal here, because that's what I realized. It's like, you know, a lot of people want to know, oh, how do you make the 303 sound? How do you make a 303 pattern? It's not just knowing those two things. It's also knowing, like I said, like the groove you're working with and being able to make this pattern fit really well, both with the placement of the notes and the notes that you don't play. Like how we get this. That open space there. Like you could try to fill that with notes, but you can hear it just transitions so well to have this whole bar play. And then that like little quiet moment, you know, so it's just really understanding the groove that you're working with. And you can see there's a few glides here. This is only two notes actually though. It's just G and G sharp. We're not doing that A sharp with this one. The other thing, you'll notice some of the velocities are a little bit lower. So inside of the synth actually, I've got a bit working with that. So we'll explain that in a moment. But yeah, so there's the MIDI. For the actual sound, it's made with Operator. Operator, I find to kind of be the best for 303s inside of Ableton. For whatever reason, this filter just will really get you that authentic 303 sound. So what we're doing here is it's a saw wave with a shorter envelope, as well as a square wave with actually a little bit longer envelope, but it's a bit quieter. And then we just have a low pass filter with an envelope on that as well, right, for the 303 sound, you know, not too much. And then you can see we're using the sine shaper as well as a high resonance. There's an LFO on the filter, and then that's moving it around. But then also what we're getting here, as you can see, there's two things mapped in here. We have the frequency to key, meaning the lower the note is, the more closed the filter is, and the more high the note is, the more open the filter is. Which obviously when you have this pattern that's jumping across different octaves, that can be very nice. And also we have this frequency velocity. So like I said, we have some velocity movements inside of the MIDI here. And that's really how you get a detailed sound, because you go, like, listen to how much movement. Like, you hear how those... It's like you're able to make each one of these a different thing. And then on top of that, I've also added this add some random here, which is adding some random into the velocity. And it just brings the 303 to life, because like if you don't do this, like let's say we turn off that frequency to key, turn off the frequency to velocity, turn off the LFO. It's just a lot more boring versus. And that might seem subtle, but it really will make a big difference over the course of the track. So then we have a bit of echo, a bit of amp to distort it, as well as a bit of pedal. So here's with no distortion. Yeah, you can see it's a pretty solid 303, but this just crunches it, and then last little bit of crunch there. I find like adding up a few distortions that are doing a little bit can help to keep it clean versus having one that's just like really pushed. And then we just have an EQ, cutting out some low end, you know, getting rid of mud. And then the last thing down here is this vocal. So it's a simple vocal. You can hear it fits nicely over the track because you get that little fill. So all this is it's just one of these like old school kind of dark like almost like Memphis hip-hop acapellas or something like that. And then, or maybe like Houston or something like that. And then we've got just a bit of echo, like a really, really fast one. So that's how you get those metallic vocals that you hear in a lot of these tracks. It's just a really fast echo and then a high-pass filter, and that's it. And that's going to be it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe. And let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Like I said in the beginning, you can get this full project file, samples, MIDI, presets. The entire template is available at the top of the description. Thanks so much for the support, guys. This really helps support me. It's only $5, but it's something that can really help me because I don't really make a whole lot off YouTube. But also, it's really about helping you guys. You get this super high-quality template that you can take your tracks to the next level today with it. You know, it's a really great value. I wish this kind of stuff was out there when I started producing. So definitely go grab this. Thanks so much for the support, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow with another video.